Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with another motion prep. First of all, thank you guys for watching the shorts video that I posted yesterday. It got, I think, my first over 100 views, which is less impressive in shorts, but still a big milestone for me. So today I'm going to talk about another motion. This time it's about sports. I'll try to make this a bit more friendly for you. So increase the font size. That should be fine, right? So sports. Sports, and if you look at this, it's also about law, but mostly about sports. Okay, so let's read the motion first. This House believes that the Premier League should strip Man City of all their trophies and titles between 2010 and 2022 and award them to the runners-up. And the Infoslide says the financial fair play rule in the Premier League requires teams to only spend as much as they make during a season, and Manchester City breached this rule over 100 times between 2010 and 2022. During this period, they won 6 Premier League titles and various other domestic trophies. The reason that I brought the sports motion is because, similar to the motion that I had last time, which is about international relations, sports is something that many students don't have much knowledge about. And it's often more biased towards boys who know a bit more about sports, and then it's often girls who get this motion and just feel like they don't know anything about sports and they don't want to debate this. And this is different from IR in the sense that IR does require you to know some knowledge. Well, sports really doesn't. So I'm going to show you how you should prep this motion, and not just about sports, just things about general debates too. For example, like how to fill in the threshold of all of these words. We're going to talk about that in today's lecture. So how would you deal this in a perspective of not knowing that much about sports? First of all, it's this house believes that X should. So again, like I said in the other lecture, when it's this house believes that something should do something, then it's a policy motion and it's a model motion. It's a policy motion. So it's the same thing as THW. And what that means is you need to make a model which describes your world, what you will do as the prop or the op. And you get to have fiat power, which means that that model will pass and be realized. So keep that in mind. And then it talks about Premier League should strip Man City of all their trophies and titles between 2010 and 2022 and award them to the runners-up. Immediately, what you should be thinking is, all right, so Manchester City is something, and they had a lot of trophies, and we're trying to strip it from them. So, okay, I guess they probably did something wrong between 2010 and 2022. You should also figure it out that they've been doing this for like a long time, because 12 years is quite a long time and they haven't been caught. And this motion was made in 2023. So they've been caught recently and they've been doing bad stuff for 12 years or 13 years and award them to the runners up. So get the feeling that we're talking about how we should deal with sports teams directly. Even if you never heard of this team, you should probably be thinking this is some sort of a team. And the motion Infoslide is kind of unfriendly, I guess, because it doesn't say what the Premier League is. So just to say what it is, a Premier League is the premier, the top football league. Football is soccer in this case, a football league in England specifically. And Manchester City, especially during 2022 or 2023, was one of the strongest football teams inside of England. So this league has this team inside of it. So that's what you're going to get from this motion. And then you also get a very important line inside of the Infoslide. The financial fair play rule, and if you know football, we just call this the FFP, in the Premier League requires teams to only spend as much as they make during a season. So the Infoslide is clear this time. Aha, they're only supposed to spend how much they earn during a season. Which, by the way, similar to any debate motion, it's not as simple as this. Like there are so many rules to the FFP rule that you just cannot even write it in Infoslide. It's like as complicated as like a federal law would be. So the Infoslide just dumbs it down so that anyone debaters can debate this motion. So, okay, XFP rule, we spend how much we make. And then Man City breached this rule over 100 times between this period. Again, the info slide is giving some information, but not as much. So it tells you that they breached it 100 times, but not the severity of it. Like, what did they actually do? And by the way, sports fans don't really know either. Sports fans always just say they breached 115 times, but we don't really know either. We just know that they are really rich and they broke these rules. And by reading these two sentences, you need to figure it out logically that, they spent more than what they have earned during the season in a way that broke the rule 100 times. So they're quite despicable and reprehensible. Although the motion slide doesn't say what it is, you need to figure that out. During this period, they won a lot of titles and various other trophies, so they were really successful as well. So that's all of the knowledge that we have. So how are you supposed to make arguments? Well, you just make general logical arguments and then make it specific. So let's talk about the prop. What would you do as prop? So we should strip the titles away. Then you need to connect using too much money and being unfair and how those trophies are unfairly won. Got it. That's the mission now. So what you want to do here is just figure it out. All right. It's about soccer. If you don't even know it's soccer, it's about sports. So what is this? Well, then you can logically deduct that more money buys you more expensive players. Okay. More expensive players, better quality coaches, bigger stadium, more merch, which attracts more fans and therefore more money. More merch and like fan service, so better quality matches. And a bigger stadium also means more match day revenue. A match day revenue would be the amount of money you get from tickets when the match is happening at the day. So with a lot of money, we'll build a bigger stadium, they had better quality matches, and they got more ticket revenue, match day revenue. So these are things that are just generally deductible facts that you should know. And that's why we say a little bit of knowledge is helpful. Because if you don't know the first thing about soccer, maybe stadium doesn't even come to your mind. And maybe a merchandise or fan service doesn't even come to your mind. So just something like this. Right? Fan service is a bit vague. Um like social media content and managing. Something like that. So okay, that's the arguments that you will be getting generally by deducting using logic. Well, since it's debate, let's go one step further. Then why is this bad? Because using too much money makes the game unfair. How does it make the game unfair? Well, then you use a bit more logic. And like I told you in last lecture, maybe it's exaggerated, but that's the spirit of AP debate, world schools debate. You just exaggerate it. So better players, very big advantage that is insurmountable by other teams. Why? Because now you pretend you know soccer. Because soccer, these days, the uh, tactics are very evolved. So mm, most plays are easily defended by managerial tactics. Therefore, it takes a star player to break that system. Since a mediocre player would easily be defended, blocked. See, now it sounds logical. Now it sounds logical, even if you didn't know anything. All right, I want to argue something. What should I do? Hey, let's argue that players are really important. If they have a lot of money, they're going to buy a lot of players. So let's make an argument that they're really important. Why are they really important? Well, it's because tactics evolved a lot in the current world. And that's why normal players cannot win games and only very big players able to win games. So therefore, when Man City are bringing these very big attackers and defenders, they're gaining an unfair advantage in the game. You see what I did here? I acted like I know stuff. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that too hard to deduct? Well, the thing is, you try to use the best ability to guess these things. For example, tactics being evolved, that's very difficult to just say that you're lying because tactics do evolve. Just like any technology or any societal structure will evolve, soccer tactics will also evolve. So you just argue, well, that's actually true. That's what's happening. And this is also where you just drop random examples. If you know anything about Man City, you'll probably argue something about they bought in Aguero, who was able to score the final goal in the final game and win City the league, which brought them immense success. And you would actually give examples that you know. But oftentimes, if you don't watch soccer/football, you're not going to know these examples. I would say it's not as required in sports debates, but just give what you can. For example, Man City didn't have Messi, so it wouldn't be the best example. But you would just after making this argument, you might just talk about Messi. Oh, for example, Messi is able to break the system, and he has um, specific skills that benefit the team. That is why Man City having as much money as being able to buy Messi gives them too much of an advantage. You argue something like that, and then your argument sounds more persuasive. And in debate, if you sound logical enough, the judge can't just say you're bullshitting. They can't just say that. So therefore, just keep it like that and provide the logic that you're able to do. All right. What else do you need as prop in this motion? Well, then why are we stripping the words? And why are we awarding them to runners up? So why strip the words? You first talk about how fair that is. Well, things such as the players, the coaches, were very necessary for them to win the titles. So if they haven't breached the rules, wouldn't have had the titles. Therefore, it's justified to take the titles away. Like this type of logic is really easy to deduct. Like as a debater, you should be able to do something at least like this. And then just the classic law policy arguments. Deterrence. When strip titles away, deters teams from cheating. That type of stuff. And if you want to sound extra cool, which I guess you should, don't talk about why other methods won't work. For example, fines won't work because right now already too rich, have too much money. Man City is famous for being rich, but if you didn't know why they're rich, you can just argue that they're rich. First of all, they're a big football club, of course they're rich. But second of all, breaching this rule means that they used so much money. And if they used that much money, they are indeed rich. So argue something like that. And you can also argue like other methods are not really justified. Like you're not going to send like the CEOs to jail just because they used it. They breached the FFP rule. So and then you sound extra nerdy. Like they broke the uh they broke the rules of football. We call them the laws of football, technically, but they broke the rules of football and with like the highest level of breaches. broke the most fundamental rules. Therefore, should be getting the biggest punishment within the frameworks of the laws of football. And now you sound like you know what you're talking about. And now you justified the specific thing that is inside of the motion, the specific punishment. And then awarding to the runners up, that's pretty easy, right? Award to runner up because they would have won the award if not for Man City. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope that even if you don't watch sports, you're able to debate about sports now. And thank you for watching.